Hey NFL fans, before we dive into today's hottest stories, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an update. From NFL News now, alright, buckle up, because we're diving into the Cowboys 2026 outlook, and let me tell you, it is not exactly the kind of news you want to hear if you're a fan expecting a smooth ride. The Dallas Cowboys are now officially locked into a second-place schedule in the NFC East for the 2026 season. That's right, no matter how the rest of the season shakes out. They are guaranteed to finish second in their division, which immediately sets the stage for a very specific set of opponents in practical terms. This means that for 2026, Dallas will face the second-place teams from the NFC North on the road, the AFC North at home, and the NFC South at home. For fans trying to see some silver lining, the Cowboys were already scheduled to play the San Francisco 49ers and the Arizona Cardinals at home, so the NFC West matchups aren't going to shake the balance of power all that much. But don't get too excited, because when you start stacking up the second-place teams across the league, the reality is that Dallas is walking into a gauntlet of tough opponents. As Ali Jawad pointed out on Twitter just a day ago, the Cowboys will specifically face second-place teams from the NFC North, which is likely to include powerhouses like the Green Bay Packers, the Baltimore Ravens, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Just thinking about this gives a sense of the uphill battle ahead. Now, you might assume that not winning your division one year would give you an easier path the next. But the NFL doesn't play by simple logic. The NFC, particularly this year, is loaded with talent, and the second-place teams are arguably stronger than Dallas itself. So, even though the schedule seems decent on paper, it's really a trap if the Cowboys don't fix the systemic issues that have haunted them for years. Looking at the schedule rotation, Dallas will follow up their disastrous 0-4 record against the NFC North in 2025 with games against the NFC West, which is stacked with some of the league's most dangerous squads. On the AFC side, they are slated to square off against the AFC South. Plus, the 17th game will be against an AFC North team. The irony is that all of this schedule strategizing is meaningless if the core team issues aren't addressed. After the most recent loss, Jerry Jones was candid in his own way, admitting that management has a lot to answer for in the team's 30-year Super Bowl drought. His words: "I'll admit that the Cowboys management has played a big role, but seriously, I'm very disappointed that the way we're structured and my role puts us here tonight. I'm tremendously disappointed," show a level of frustration, but they also underline a stubborn pattern that fans have seen for decades. Jerry Jones' reflections didn't stop there. He doubled down, stating, "I really am better when I'm getting my ass kicked than I am when I'm having success. I've seen some of the decisions I've made work. The problem is, for many fans, seeing decisions work sporadically doesn't cut it. The playoff collapse against the Packers wasn't a fluke. It was a symptom of the same structural issues resurfacing. Each year, the narrative is eerily familiar. A promising season ends with disappointing results, and the management shuffle or coaching adjustments barely move the needle. Now, looking ahead to 2026, the glaring issue is the defense. Simply put, this defense is not good enough to compete at a high level, no matter which team they face. Stopping elite offenses will remain a major problem. You can stack the schedule in your favor, hope for turnovers, or pray for injuries to opposing stars. But if the Cowboys can't get consistent pressure on quarterbacks or generate secondary stops, none of it matters. And when you combine a weak defense with predictable offensive play calling, you're looking at a recipe for more frustration. Observers note that after the first half of games, the play calling becomes highly readable, making it much easier for opposing teams to anticipate and counter Dallas' strategy. That predictability could very well haunt them in 2026, leaving fans once again scratching their heads and questioning what the team's next move will be. Beyond the X and O's, the culture of accountability or lack thereof remains a thorny issue. Jerry Jones has admitted that the management structure contributes to the ongoing struggles, but without meaningful change, fans are left with empty reassurances. This is compounded by the fact that while the Cowboys have the financial resources to build a championship-caliber roster, the execution has consistently fallen short. Even with high draft picks and key acquisitions, the team struggles to put together a cohesive unit that can compete in both the regular season and playoffs. History has shown us that talent alone isn't enough. Coaching, game planning, and strategic foresight are equally critical, and that's where Dallas continues to stumble. For 2026, the combination of facing strong second-place teams across multiple divisions, a subpar defense, and predictable offensive schemes doesn't paint a hopeful picture. The reality is that fans might once again see a season where high expectations meet hard truths, and the cycle of disappointment continues in the end. The Cowboys' 2026 schedule is a double-edged sword. On one hand, playing against second-place teams might sound manageable compared to the top teams, but given the league's current structure and Dallas roster deficiencies, it could very well be more challenging than many first-place schedules. With the NFC North sending formidable opponents, the AFC North matchup at home, and the consistent pressure from the NFC South, the Cowboys are facing a gauntlet that tests not just talent, but strategy, adaptability, and mental toughness. Meanwhile, the rhetoric from management, while earnest at times, leaves fans wondering if there will ever be a structural shift significant enough to change the trajectory. The clock is ticking, and while fans hope for changes in coaching philosophy, player development, and defensive adjustments, the reality is that the 2026 season will expose whether the Cowboys have truly learned from past failures, or if history is destined to repeat itself without concrete improvements. The Cowboys could find themselves in a familiar position, competitive on paper, but falling short when it matters most, leaving the fans to hope that one day, the promise of Dallas Cowboys football matches the reality on the field. This season preview sets the stage for an intense discussion among analysts, fans, and the media alike. The narrative surrounding Dallas is not just about wins and losses, but about the organizational culture, the role of ownership, and the question of whether this team can break free from decades of underachievement. In 2026, every game against a second-place team becomes an opportunity to prove that the Cowboys can rise above mediocrity, yet the fundamental challenges remain. And unless Jerry Jones and his management team implement tangible changes, fans may be in for another year of mixed results and frustrating playoff exits. The story is as much about the matchups as it is about leadership, execution, and the psychological burden carried by a team striving to end a 30-year Super Bowl drought. As we look ahead, it's clear that Dallas faces not only a tough schedule, but also the critical need for introspection and change, because without it, 2026 might just be another chapter in a familiar and disappointing saga. Ultimately, the Cowboys' 2026 season preview reminds us that professional football is a game of margins. Success is not only measured by talent, but also by preparation, adaptability, and the willingness to confront systemic flaws. The second-place schedule, while seemingly advantageous on paper, exposes Dallas to a series of matchups that will challenge their weaknesses and highlight the areas where management and coaching need to improve. Fans will be watching closely, analyzing every decision, play call, and personnel move, hoping that this time, the lessons of the past translate into meaningful change. Until then, the looming specter of defensive shortcomings, predictable offensive strategies, and managerial inertia hangs over the franchise, reminding everyone that the path to a championship is as much about self-correction as it is about victories on the field. If 2026 becomes another season defined by missed opportunities, it will serve as yet another reminder that for the Dallas Cowboys, breaking the cycle requires more than hope. It demands decisive action, strategic foresight, and a commitment to evolving beyond past mistakes. Fans everywhere will be watching, waiting, and hoping that finally, the Cowboys can turn the page. This narrative, while focused on the 2026 season, encapsulates the ongoing challenges that have defined Dallas Cowboys football for decades. It highlights the intersection of schedule dynamics, team deficiencies, management decisions, and fan expectations, painting a full picture of what lies ahead as the team prepares for the upcoming season. The pressure is immense, and the stakes are higher than ever. With a challenging schedule, a defense in need of major upgrades, and leadership that must navigate the fine line between accountability and action, the Cowboys' journey in 2026 will be a true test of their resilience, adaptability, and ambition. Only time will tell if they can finally align talent with execution, break free from historical patterns, and deliver the success that fans have been waiting for since the last Super Bowl victory over 30 years ago. Keep watching as we analyze more details about some rumors. The atmosphere is still thick with tension after what can only be described as a whirlwind of controversy and raw emotion on the field. Jerry Jones, the ever-passionate and outspoken owner of the Dallas Cowboys, did not hold back this time. delivering a message that is shaking the NFL world to its core. Following the hard-fought and highly charged clash against the Los Angeles Chargers, Jones' remarks were as fiery as they were direct, fueling speculation that the Cowboys organization is deeply unsettled by what happened on the gridiron. Sources close to the team hint at a storm brewing in Dallas, a sense of injustice that lingers like a shadow over the locker room. Observers and insiders alike are buzzing, debating whether this was merely the heat of the moment or a deliberate public statement meant to pressure the league into taking a closer look at the officiating. Fans who have followed Jerry Jones over the decades know that he is not one to mince words, and his post-game commentary has always carried weight. Yet, this time, the edge in his voice suggested something more than the usual frustration that follows a tough loss. It was almost as if he was signaling to the world that the Cowboys were not just beaten on the scoreboard, but were victims of an unfair sequence of calls that fundamentally altered the flow of the game. The sense of being wronged, according to sources inside the organization, has sparked conversations behind closed doors about potential appeals or formal complaints. The rhetoric Jones chose is unusually pointed, hinting at a growing impatience with the status quo of NFL officiating, and some speculate that this could be the start of a larger movement to demand transparency and accountability from those entrusted with enforcing the rules. Rumors are swirling that several key moments in the game left the Cowboys feeling aggrieved, instances that could have turned the tide if the calls had gone differently. Analysts and fans alike are dissecting replays, pointing to a handful of controversial plays that seem to defy conventional logic, from questionable pass interference decisions to critical spot calls on pivotal downs. The intensity of Jones' response suggests that the Cowboys' ownership is taking a very serious look at these situations, and there's growing chatter that internal reviews are underway to assess the impact on the team's performance. It's not just about one game, according to insiders. It's about principle, fairness, and the message that Jones wants to send to players, fans, and even the league itself. The Cowboys will not stand idly by when they feel the game has been compromised. What makes this episode even more intriguing is how it resonates with the Cowboys' current season narrative. This team, full of talent and high expectations, has been under the microscope almost every week, with fans hungry for signs that they can rise above challenges and reclaim a dominant place in the league. The combination of a tough loss and the perception of injustice has created a perfect storm for speculation. Some insiders suggest that Jones' remarks were strategically timed to protect the team's morale, to signal solidarity with the players, and to rally the fanbase behind a sense of shared grievance. Others interpret his words as a subtle warning to the NFL. The Cowboys are aware, they are watching, and they expect fair play at every turn. The tension is palpable, and the media frenzy surrounding his comments shows no sign of slowing down. Further adding fuel to the speculation fire, there are murmurs that the Cowboys coaching staff and front office are quietly reviewing strategies for how to respond in future matchups, whether that means lobbying for changes in officiating policies, pushing for clearer guidelines on enforcement, or simply ensuring that the team is never again at the mercy of controversial calls. The underlying message is unmistakable. Jones' commentary serves not only as a public airing of grievances, but also as a call to action, a reminder that the Cowboys' leadership is unafraid to challenge norms when they believe the integrity of the game is at stake. This has left fans and analysts pondering just how far the organization is willing to go, and whether this marks the beginning of a more assertive era for one of the NFL's most storied franchises. The reaction on social media has been immediate and unrelenting, with debates raging about whether the Cowboys were truly robbed, or whether the complaints are part of the larger spectacle that accompanies high-stakes professional sports. Video clips of Jones speaking, analyzed frame by frame, have gone viral, with commentators dissecting every inflection, every pause, and every choice of word. There's a growing narrative that the Cowboys' leadership is not merely venting frustration, but laying the groundwork for a broader discussion about officiating consistency, fairness, and how such controversies shape public perception of the league. It's rare to see an owner blend passion, strategy, and spectacle so effectively, and Jones' performance in the post-game arena is being described by some insiders as a masterclass in sports diplomacy, if you can call it that. Meanwhile, inside the Cowboys' locker room, the mood is reportedly a mix of frustration, determination, and focus. Players are said to be rallying around Jones' comments, interpreting them as a sign that the organization has their back, that every disputed play is not forgotten, and that accountability is expected at all levels. Coaches, too, are reportedly using the moment as a teaching opportunity, emphasizing resilience, mental toughness, and the need to maintain composure under circumstances that test the team's discipline. This alignment between ownership, coaching staff, and players, if accurate, could prove to be a defining factor as the season progresses, suggesting that even a controversial loss can serve as a catalyst for unity, motivation, and a renewed drive to prove critics wrong. Speculation is also rife about the league's potential response. Will the NFL address the controversy directly, or will it remain silent, allowing the narrative to simmer among fans and analysts alike? Some sources hint that internal discussions are already underway, with league officials reviewing the game footage and the specific calls in question. While nothing has been confirmed publicly, the mere possibility of a league reaction adds another layer of intrigue to an already volatile situation. The Cowboys fan base, known for its loyalty and passion, is watching closely, interpreting every nuance of media coverage, social media chatter, and insider reports as part of a larger story that extends far beyond a single contest. Ultimately, what we are witnessing is more than just a post-game rant or a headline-grabbing moment. Jerry Jones' remarks are shaping a narrative about fairness, accountability, and the perception of integrity in professional football. The way the Cowboys respond, how the league reacts, and how fans internalize these events could have lasting implications for the team and the sport itself. In an era where every play is scrutinized, every call dissected, and every word amplified, moments like these become part of the folklore of the NFL, shaping reputations, influencing decisions, and feeding the endless cycle of debate that keeps the game alive in the public imagination. As speculation continues to swirl, one thing is certain: Jerry Jones has made his voice heard, and the reverberations of his comments will be felt far beyond the stadium lights, leaving the Cowboys, the league, and the fans to wonder what comes next in this unfolding drama. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video and share it with your fellow NFL fans. Stay tuned for more updates, only here on NFL News Now.